Once there lived a man who had a strange dream. In his dream, someone told him, "Make arrangements for the Umrah of the person with this phone number." The phone number shown in the vision was very clear. When he woke up, he had a vivid recollection of the dream, but thought it was his imagination, and he just ignored it. The next night, he had the same dream, so he decided to seek the advice of a scholar. After being described the dream, the scholar said, "If you have the same dream again, note down the phone number, contact the person, and provide him with the means to perform Umrah." As expected, he had the same dream a third time. So when he woke up, he wrote down the telephone number. When he dialed the phone number later that day, it was a man who answered. After a brief introduction, he said, "I have been asked in a dream to provide you with the means to perform Umrah. I want to accomplish the noble task of getting you to undertake the Umrah." The person on the other end of the telephone line laughed and said, "What are you talking about, my brother? It's been ages since I last prayed any mandatory prayer, and you want me to perform Umrah?" The one who had the dream implored him, "Look, my brother, I want you to go on Umrah. I will bear your expenses, do not worry." After arguing for a while, the person agreed to the offer on condition that the man who had the dream accompany him and brings him back to his city at his expense. He agreed to the demand. When the two met each other later, the dreamer noticed that the other person appeared to be quite weak. His face betrayed that he was a drinker who rarely prayed. The dreamer was extremely astonished that he had been asked more than 2 times to take such a person to perform Umrah. They then left for noble Makkah to perform Umrah. When they arrived at the Miqat, they took a bath and assumed ihram before moving on towards the holy sanctuary. When they arrived in Makkah, they circumambulated Allah's house, offered 2-unit prayer at Maqam Ibrahim, performed sa'i between Safa and Marwa, had their heads shaven, and thus completed their Umrah. Then they prepared to return home. When they were about to leave the holy place, the person who had been persuaded to perform Umrah said, "My brother, let me offer a 2 rak'ah prayer before leaving this sacred place. I am not sure whether I will ever be able to perform Umrah again." The other fellow had no reason to object to this noble wish, so he told him to pray to his heart's content. So the man started to pray. He then prostrated for a long time. When it was quite late, the friend called him but got no response. Seeing his body was totally motionless, he jumped up to see if he was fine. When he touched him, he was shocked to discover that he was dead. This was the person of whom he had such a low opinion, but who had died in a state of prostration in Allah's house. He envied his friend for dying in such a great manner, and with tears in his eyes said to himself, I wish we could all die like this. This fortunate person was given his last bath with Zamzam water and shrouded in 2 sheets of unstitched cloth that he had worn while performing Umrah. Hundreds and thousands of Muslims performed funeral prayer in the sacred mosque, asking Allah to forgive his sins. True to his promise, his friend had his body transported to the city where he lived. His family went to his house to offer their condolences. After a few days, the man who had the dream went to see the widow. After offering his condolences for her loss, he asked the women what qualities her husband had, which had resulted in him dying in such a great way in a holy place. He said that all God-fearing and righteous Muslims aspire to die in such a great manner. The widow said, Brother, you know, my husband was not that practicing. He gave up praying and fasting a long time ago. He was smoking and drinking all the time. He went to sleep at night after smoking and drinking. He also drank wine before going out. I can't remember anything worthwhile about him, except one good thing about him was that he helped a very helpless woman who had little kids and who lived in our neighborhood. When he went to the market at night, he would buy food for us and for the helpless woman and her children. When he came back from the market, he would put food at the door of that helpless woman and then call her to pick it up. The women who got the food prayed that, "O Allah, grant him a good end." See, this is how Allah Almighty answered the prayer of a helpless woman. The smoker and drinker died in a manner that is surely the envy of every practicing Muslim. Allah's Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, has rightly said, good deeds save a person from a bad death. That's the moral of the story. See you in the next story.